Hold on here. There we go. Welcome to Fargo, the city of frost and fire. Learn all about this north of normal metro, one person at a time. This is the Fargo Five. What do you think of that intro? I just started doing that. I used to just cold open. I'm Conrad Fargo, and then just start going.
I like it.
What I'm doing is I'm working with the YouTube algorithms, and they, because people, they open the video and they go, "What is this? Now, what am I watching?"
Right.
And they go, "Oh, this isn't what I thought it was," and they go away.
Yeah.
No, stay.
Yeah. No.
Stay.
And you always got to think,
Stay.
maybe this is someone's first time. Come on in.
Yep.
What are we showing off right now? Yeah, 100%. Absolutely.
So you're gonna want to stay, and you're gonna want to talking about YouTube.
Yeah.
So Fargo Fresh, that's the segment. It used to be local news segment only. We get to local news if we have the time, but what I really want to talk about is the burning hot fresh news coming out of the algorithm.
Okay.
The YouTube algorithm, okay? So
Okay.
what I do is I kind of explore the latest fresh topics that YouTube tells me people are looking for.
Okay.
Because I go in and I type in about you.
Right on.
I type in wrestling.
Okay.
And I'm like, YouTube, what is it that people are currently searching for? So people are searching for these terms. This is what they're typing into YouTube.
What they're typing into YouTube. Okay.
And they're not getting anything back. So sometimes for the subject matter, it's saturated, and there isn't such a thing.
Mm-hmm.
It'll come through as high, medium, and low.
Okay.
When I typed in wrestling, they had 3 full pages of high search. Meaning, so people are searching for wrestling. There's not enough YouTube content out there.
Yeah.
So I suspect this is going to be huge. But why do you think that is? Do you guys not put any matches out on the YouTubes?
No, yeah, we do. There's the Below Zero Wrestling YouTube channel where you can check out all of these wonderfully edited and cut. And I say edited, I mean just like different camera angles, because we have cameras all the way around the actual ring itself. And then Zach will end up like cutting them together and putting them together and have like these very, I wouldn't call them cinematic, but very like well produced wrestling matches. So definitely check out Below Zero Wrestling. You can see everything that they've been doing for the past couple of years now, and the progression of it as well. Seeing like the same faces, seeing the same personality, seeing the same characters, and seeing those different stories develop and grow as well too is really fun. As far as wrestling in general, I mean, there is a huge fan base for it as well, and you'll find different places all over the world that are searching for that. But as far as locally, that was one of the big pushing points for Nick Stokey and Zach, where they were trying to have a North Dakota based pro wrestling league sport, and really pushing it out that way and trying to develop the talent that's here as well too, and promote them more so that maybe one day you will see them on AEW or WWE, and then they'll be able to represent, hey, I'm from North Dakota, we're from North Dakota, we're from Minnesota, we're from South Dakota, and really push that, we are a person, a wrestler to be reckoned with. We can create these amazing talents based out of North Dakota, and more specifically, if we're talking about me, based out of Fargo.
We got a professional wrestling league before we got a professional football team.
Right.
What?
right. I mean, but we have a minor league football team, don't we? I mean,
do we? Well,
isn't that the Mystics or?
Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't know sports.
Okay.
I don't. You have reached the end of my knowledge of sports.
Right. But Fargo Force. I mean, it's a hockey. That's a hockey league.
Yeah. So the terms that people are searching for. So I just took the top ones.
Sure.
Action figure wrestling. That's the top one.
I think it's because people want to, because you can like customize things now and like make your own action figures.
Yeah.
And not even be a wrestler whatsoever. So, I mean, there are some companies out there that make just professional wrestling action figures or action figures that look like professional wrestlers. And if you ever like dreamed about being a professional wrestler, but you don't want to go through all the rigors of having to actually train your body, train your mind, train in the sport, yeah, you can play a little bit, you can dream a little bit, you can make your own professional wrestling action figure. And at the same time, maybe people are just, living out. They want to see Kurt Hennig again, Mr. Perfect, or they want to see, the Sheik or something like that,
The second term is TNA Wrestling. What is that? Do you even know what that is?
That is, so TNA Wrestling was a company that was started by Jeff Jarrett back in the day. JEFFJ.
So this is, but
Double E,
it's another independent.
No, it's actually it was so after WCW was engulfed by or bought by WWF, then turned WWE, a second party came out that was called TNA. And that ran for like 52 weeks a year. That was their whole like marketing thing. It was like they would have a show
so this is like an
every
old
week.
thing back in the 80s kind of
90s. Late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. Oh. Wow.
And then it was bought by Panda Group, Dixie Carter, and it turned into Impact Wrestling, and that's what they rebranded as Impact because TNA was too salacious at the time. But that was sort of the push for it. There it is. That was sort of the push for it at the time. But now, just recently, I want to say about a month ago, they rebranded as TNA again. So it's like pushing sort of that old school mentality of what TNA was.
Well, now
hopefully
does this
back into the new.
Maybe this goes into the next term, which is right under TNA.
Sure.
Maybe they're related. I didn't know this. Women wrestling.
Women wrestling. Okay, and TNA stands for Total Nonstop Action for what it's worth.
But there
women
is wrestling.
that. Yeah, but there is that. Like, what
are
else
there women
does TNA?
wrestling in TNA?
Yes, absolutely.
Are there women wrestling in Below Zero?
Yes, there are. The one that we have like quite regularly is Sierra, and we're always looking for. I mean, you could talk to Nick about this, but we're always looking for new and upcoming talent, women wrestlers.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things too, where it's like you want to talk about a niche market in general, as far as being professional wrestlers, and even more niche market inside of that is being a woman professional wrestler.
Yeah.
So if you're worth your salt, man, and you're a woman, and you're
It's got to be challenging to write.
Absolutely.
To make it not because you don't want to be too salacious.
No,
I like that
100%.
word, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't want to make it too, but
it depends what kind of show you're doing, right? If it's a family show, 100%.
Yeah,
but there's things you can do safely as well too that can play towards the audience, play towards the adults of the audience, but not really sort of like hinder or hurt the kids in the process. And then there are other groups as well that do more adult style wrestling. TNA was more of an adult aimed towards like the 18-year-old to 35-year-old male demographic, and so in the TNA landscape, using that as not only Total Nonstop Action, but the other abbreviation, they would definitely placate towards that as well too. And you'll see a lot of women inside wrestling too. There are sometimes their outfits that they wear are like, I wonder how that all keeps in there. But that's part of it too. You do have to sort of you are selling not only your personality but how you present yourself as well too. And there's a certain microcosm of fan base that wants to see more rather than less.
Yeah.
And as far as women's wrestling goes, there are different women's leagues and stuff too. I mean, going back in the day. Oh yeah, going back in the day.
Independent wrestling leagues.
Yeah, absolutely. And just women's wrestling leagues.
Yeah.
And they'll have MAW and has a whole bunch of women's wrestling as well too, and sometimes just women's wrestling shows. But back in the day, in the 80s, they had Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. And that was like, you go back and watch that stuff, it's from the 80s. And some of it's really corny and cheeky because it's like, here comes the Russian bad chick, or, but
That's the best.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. Go check out some Glow, for real. But then there's a whole bunch of different like little leagues as well, too, that just promote women's wrestling. So I think that's why that was the next question of women wrestling, because there are some awesome women wrestling out there.
We are now going to finally no, that's what we're going out with. I keep lying. These are my songs. We're going to listen to Blur with song number 2 when we come back. Our last segment, Fargo Favorites. So don't go nowhere.
See you there.